And hello, and welcome to Double Talk. I'm your co-host, Mark Steffen.
And I'm Michael Mandel. Did you hear music before that? Because I didn't hear any music.
I
didn't hear it.
You're just older than I am, so your hearing's going.
What? What?
And, yes.
I'm getting a message.
But you look happy and gay today.
I'm always happy and always gay.
You mean jolly?
Yes, isn't that what gay means?
Well, to some people, yes.
Yes, it does.
And to others who were born non-heterosexual, it has a whole different meaning. And, well, we're just reading in the paper.
Fancy that.
What was it, Rhode Island?
In the paper, and it was on the news, and they've been planning on passing this for a while. Rhode Island has become the 10th state to have gay marriage. You know, it's interesting to think they would say allow gay marriage, you know, because but you know it's got the gay marriage has been made legal there,
and it comes with all the legal rights and
so that's
that heterosexual marriage has, right?
Yes, it's 1/5. Yeah, the same things as heterosexual marriage. Now, what does that imply to you?
Just heterosexual, grief-stricken as the rest of them.
Heterosexual marriage, you know. Has its fair share of knocks.
I wouldn't know, Michael.
Yes. Well, that's not my fault.
You
could always. Did you want me to ask your hand in marriage?
Well, I don't believe in bigamy, so I couldn't marry you.
Well, if I married you, that would be pretty big of me.
Yeah, it would. Wouldn't
yes.
It?
But you know, we won't do that.
Well, you know, I noticed on.
Where's that picture of the rings? You want to not yet?
Yeah, sure.
What
why
not?
Do? I noticed on Jon Stewart, he said, you know, with gays getting more and more acceptance. People were worried that people would decide to go out and be gay. You know,
well, if they can be gay, we can be gay.
Well, it was just like, then he said, just like when black people in this country gained
civil rights.
How many white people went out and tried to become black?
Well, you know,
it doesn't work that way. You're born one way, and that's it.
Well, I've dreamed of becoming a black saxophone player because those guys are. How cool can you be?
And if you were a gay sax player,
you'd have it covered. Sax player, yes. I'd have everything I wanted. They also have stopped the death penalty in Maryland, I believe. That's another thing. We won't talk about that much. But the fact that gay marriage is now legal in 10 states.
Well, marriage is kind of like a death penalty, isn't it?
Everything's being born is a death penalty.
Well, it's a life penalty, really.
Death penalty. It gets there. So do you want to talk more about all the torture that people who are now going to get married who are gay, now they have to suffer all the things in heterosexual stuff
have to deal with.
One of the things they say is the married person tax penalty.
Yes.
If you file married, there is a tax penalty, which I don't believe is actually true. It depends on your level of income.
I thought there were financial advantages to being married.
There are.
Instead of cohabiting.
Yeah, there are. But in certain cases, the balance shifts. I think if you're both making the same amount of money, it really doesn't matter. But if, I don't know, it seems better to be married and pay taxes than to stay apart, live together, and pay separate taxes. So. Now, you know, there are certain legal benefits now that if your spouse dies, you don't have to, you actually get the inheritance without starting all sorts of legal battles. If they're sick in the hospital, you're allowed in, which are all terminal things, but there are many benefits like health care. Now that health care is going to become universal, it'll be even more universal.
Correct.
So that's pretty good.
And maybe it won't be quite as like being sentenced to life.
No, you're saying
in the marriage chair.
In the marriage chair. Did you want to talk about the death penalty? That image is not going to come up.
Well, we do have a picture of old Sparky there someplace.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. I think if we go to the picture of the wedding rings, we could segue into the. Yeah, that's the.
There it is.
What's that for marriage? Is that your marriage chair?
Well, no.
Is that what you have it there for?
You wanted to talk about the death penalty, and I thought, you know, when you
throw that on.
If you're married and you get sentenced to the electric chair, does your wife have to sit on your lap with you?
Well, not if she's a corporation.
Oh.
Corporations have the right to campaign and have their voice heard, but they don't have the.
With my wife would just give me a turkey to hold.
Well, at least you have something to eat when you're dead.
Yes. Well, you know, they're getting rid of the death penalty in many places, but you know, there's some people who I think should be sentenced to life in the electric chair.
That would be it. End of life. you know what? Mostly that comes from how you feel about that person. And some people are really, can we say bastards on a TV show? I think you can.
Sure, it's in the dictionary.
Sure. So are a lot of things. There are a lot of words in the dictionary I can't say.
You know, I actually have.
That's because I can't.
I actually have silent film footage for the 1920s of somebody being electrocuted in the electric chair.
Thank goodness it's silent.
Maybe we can show it next week.
Is that when electricity was made out of wood?
No,
in the 1920s. So let's shoot. Well, enough with the electric chair. Let's go to the picture of the rings.
Yeah, we were talking about wedding rings.
Yes.
When you get married, you get a wedding ring.
And we visited the Ring Museum, which opened up recently. In fact, this past.
Yes, we did.
When was it? On Thursday.
This week. We went there Thursday and looked at the Ring Museum.
We're getting ready to run our video in the control booth, I believe. And we met with Keith Austin. And he's a master. Jewelry. And here's what we found. If we're ready to roll. Are we ready to roll the video?
We'll continue talking.
Here's our clip. We'll just talk for a while.
Talking until Mike starts.
It's the Ring Museum, just opened up on 360 East Idaho. That's some Indian or Native American rings.
Those are rings that you really.
Those are great. You can't necessarily wear them.
Couldn't wear some of those rings. They're just too out there. But they're art
pretty
pieces.
Monster. And here we have the tie he was wearing. Here we are with Keith Austin. All rings, all the time, and sometimes a little bit of other jewelry. Nice to meet you, Keith.
Nice to meet you. Glad to have you with me today.
We're here at the 25th anniversary of the Austin jewelry store.
Yes.
And now it's the opening of the Ring Museum. This was your idea. How many rings do you have in this museum? Not shown, but
in my
your
collection completely, I probably have in the range of around 8,000 to maybe 10,000 rings and ring-related items. And the current display will hold about 40% of the collection. I will be putting out parts of the collection at a time and then changing them monthly. So if you come back in a few months, you'll see different things.
These are Native American rings, right?
Right. This is primarily Southwestern Indian jewelry. My rings start at about 1860, 1870 time schedule. And these two were found near Coolidge, New Mexico, and the one next to it in the same general area. Not necessarily made by Navajo, but they're early handmade rings. And then we go into around 1880 to years past that. These silver rings are primarily all Navajo, and they do represent the top shelf there, 1880 to 1920s. And then I go all the way down to contemporary. They've changed their styles. We have Navajo, we have Zuni, Hopi, and we also have the world's largest ring.
This was in the paper. Let's take a quick look at the world's largest ring. Put your hand there or something, Seth.
Yeah. This is just to give you an idea of size.
Yeah, okay.
The ring is
pretty big.
It's marked on the back that is 2,785 carat turquoise stone in silver. It's all handmade. It came out of a museum back east that closed several years ago, and I was able to purchase it and put it in my museum. I was very happy to get it as an addition. It's quite a nice item. Obviously not something that can be worn comfortably or worn at all, but it's fun.
It's perfect for a ring museum. Okay, we showed you some of the glitz. Now we're going to take a look at the famous Quaker puffed rice cannon ring that Gabby Hayes wanted you to use. It's shaped like a cannon. Tell me something. Is it just shaped like a cannon, or is there something else going on here?
It's a great little ring. It's actually a cannon. It has a plunger. You pull a little knob on the back, and you were supposed to put the puffed rice inside and shoot it at your brother or sister across the table. Of course, I'm sure a lot of kids put rocks in there and shot them at brother and sister also, so there might be some bad eyes out there as a result of it.
So there's some weird stuff. I want to show the audience this. I was wondering why Snap, Crackle, and Pop had a little beads on their chin and head. Apparently these moved and you can make faces. But there's actually something here that's even more dangerous than the cannon ring. And Mr. Austin will show us the atomic bomb ring.
Absolutely. Lone Ranger promotions that they did started in about 1938, went up into the mid-50s, but right after World War II, from 46 to 52, they produced the atomic bomb ring. It's a little metal bomb with a plastic tail fin on it. The idea is you pull the tail fin off, go in a dark room and look inside of the barrel of the bomb, and there was a glittery particle in there, which was a radioactive particle. Not good at today's standards.
No, that wouldn't get past it would get past the FDA initially, but after a few kids swallowed it, I guess.
Yeah.
So there would be a hue and cry, and they take it off the market after a few weeks.
Absolutely.
Of being in your breakfast cereal.
Right.
That's always good. Good, clean fun. So this really is a real museum. Not only does it show examples of rings, but it shows the process by which rings are produced. And you see here little documents of how they figure out how to put all the things together. There's a lot to put together with a ring.
There is. Everything starts, of course, as an idea, and then the person with the idea has to convey that onto a piece of paper with a written breakdown of how the ring would work, what it would serve, and then they would make the prototypes, which are handmade copies of the ideas, to get them down to a working item in the individual pieces, and these would be the items that would have to be cast or made into the promotional toys for kids. So this goes from the conceptual ideas to the prototypes to some of the molds that would have been made. There's many different ways of producing the rings, from the molds and then into finished rings, and that is the way the ring is produced, which to me is very important, as important as having the finished ring itself.
Most people we know have high school rings, though. Everybody gets a high school ring. It's the only way to be in high school. You have some unique rings here. You want to tell us about that oldest ring from Las Cruces for high school?
I would be happy to. This is a Las Cruces Union High School class ring, dated 1926. To my knowledge, Las Cruces Union High School, I found out, was formed in 1925. Therefore, the first graduating class would be 1926. I believe this to be the first Las Cruces High School class ring year that would have been used.
This also commemorates some other historic things. The first time, perhaps the only time, America has been invaded by a foreign force, right? And what is this a picture of?
The picture on top is a foot-long or a yard-long photo, they call them. This is Camp Furlong in Columbus, New Mexico in 1916. And this was a result of the raid that Pancho Villa did on Columbus. More of a bad arms deal, I believe, than an actual invasion of the United States. However, the government used this as a training exercise, and General Pershing was in Fort Bliss at the time and was sent to Columbus with 10,000 troops approximately to do a mass move and setup of troops. And also, in looking for Pancho Villa, there was the first time that they used airplanes in military battle as spotters, and the first time they used trucks in military use. Before that, it was all horse-drawn wagons and horse-drawn cannons. And we have a picture of the actual camp that was set up. And down here I have 6 rings that were worn by members of the military that had been in that exercise. And next to it is Camp Cody, Deming, New Mexico, which was a camp that existed about the same time, and that was another early camp in this locale. So 2 early military uses of rings in our area.
And so there's also many different examples of military rings and much more when you come to the Ring Museum here on East Idaho. Was it 236?
230?
230 East Idaho. Austin Fine Jewelry. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you stopping by. I've had fun chatting with you. Thank you.
And that was our
interview.
Our adventure at the Ring Museum.
There's far more things there, so go on over to
experience if you go back, say, 2 months later, because he's going to have constantly rotating displays there.
Go now. We're going to come back after this word.
Welcome to La Buena Vida Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane at 650-9721.
Hey, you, come here. Do you want to know the news? The Lost Cruces channel is now on 7 days a week. We'll keep it right here.
Fiesta Motors. Come and see us today and discover why our service is second to none. In business for over 17 years, we have the right car for you. When you buy a vehicle from Fiesta Motors, we do everything possible to ensure your satisfaction. Located at the corner of El Paseo and Main. See you there. Celebrate Fiesta Motors. We're buying a car. It's always a celebration.
Hey, thanks, kid. That's our
Thank
house
you,
band.
yes, that's the.
Our
thank
house
you.
band,
That was
we,
Paul Schaefer, or that's how Paul Schaefer got started.
It is.
And
on
this
shows
kid will
like
be
this.
on The Late Show or the very, 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 very late show.
As soon as he gets out of reform school, he's got a great career ahead of him.
Yes, if that ever happens. Anyway,
Now,
we were at the museum, which had lots of things that have valuable things.
right, and he plays that like a ringing a bell.
And cops take care of things like museums, especially jewelry places.
Well, they look after the criminals who break in and steal from
That's
them.
right, those rings.
And,
that was meant to be for the gay marriage
Yeah.
sequence. Rings a ring.
Rings a bell.
Anyway.
But, you know, in the news this week, it came out in the papers that the cops the one cop that shot and killed the so-called reptile man,
Yes.
the judge declared that it was a justifiable shooting.
Yes, so the officer got let off, and you can't say scot-free because he's gone for 2-3 years wondering about whether he was going to be indicted or actually guilty. So a guy who calls the cops and says there's a crazy guy outside his house.
He calls the cops himself.
He's one.
Says
Yes.
there's a crazy man with a sword.
He writes a suicide note to his girlfriend saying, I'm going to do suicide by cop.
Yes.
And then he's out there. I think he was in his underwear, wasn't he?
He was in a car. He stepped
He
out
was
of a car with a sword.
A 4-foot samurai sword.
Now the police told him to drop it. They told him to drop the sword, and he didn't do it. And so he took a step forward. And
Well, actually, he walked slowly towards them. But he must have been, and they said he was exhibiting aggressive behavior. Well, having a sword is aggressive behavior.
He wanted suicide cop, and they fell for it, and he got it.
He got his way.
You know, I don't know whatever happened to using pepper spray and tasers.
And tasers.
Because they were 40 feet away from the man.
Well, they're 27 feet when they shot him.
Well,
that's what
all
it
they had
said
to do
in
was
the
back
paper.
up, and they'd have still been 40 feet away.
Well, yes, a samurai sword is only dangerous within 4 feet,
Within
or
arm's reach,
plus whatever
plus
that is,
sword.
if you want to be technical about it.
So,
well, our producer's wondering why they can't shoot the legs. Well, then they have to go to court.
They don't. The police here are trained to, if they're going to shoot to kill. Period. Just like the Albuquerque cops do. Now, the Albuquerque cops have been getting away with shooting citizens for the past number of years, until finally the federal government, the Justice Department, has been investigating the Albuquerque Police Department for all the shootings the cops have been guilty of. And we certainly don't want Las Cruces to become like Albuquerque.
Well, it certainly is a deterrent against people trying to look like they're going to attack you, and then they do attack you.
So I don't know what kind of training the police here have when somebody is endeavoring to take part in suicide by cop, but I would hope that they have addressed that issue by now.
Don't you think it's giving the citizens what they want? If they want suicide by cop?
They get it. Obviously, they get it.
Yes. Although I'm the liberal here. But you don't, or are you the liberal? I can't remember who's liberaler.
I'll tell you.
So you're saying that the cops should
certainly
they should take up a lasso, and perhaps, why not? We're in the Wild West. Take a lasso, and if you have a suicide guy with a sword and he's lassoed to his arms, can't do much.
Well, it's hard to get the lasso down a long sword and around his arms and pull
Right,
it
don't
tight.
get around the sword.
Just taser the man.
Tasers. I don't know if tasers can work over 27 feet.
Oh, yes, they have. Yes, they
I
can.
don't know.
They-
We'll
they
have to
very
find
long
that
cords.
out. Call up and let us know.
You can spray pepper spray a good 30 to 40 feet, unless there's a breeze.
Oh yeah, and was this during March or April?
I think it's in the summertime.
The pepper spray goes, you know.
Back in your face.
Then we end up with a lot of pepper plants.
Well, speaking of
Anyway.
pepper plants, you know, there's the Chili Pepper Institute at the university,
Yes, is that how they got there?
and the university is currently looking for a new president.
They are.
They are.
Because the last president lasted, what, about a year and a half, I think?
Yes, and she walked away with a sweetheart parachute deal
And
of
the
$500,000.
president before that left after, what, a year and a half.
So how long do you think the new one, Gary Carruthers, is going to last?
I would guess a year and a half.
As long as he wants, probably.
Maybe. Depends on what he's getting. I
he's-
guess his pay will be a lot more if he becomes president. You know, Gary Carruthers was the governor of New Mexico. He has been the dean of the, he is the dean of the business school right now.
Yes.
And he's been doing that quite a long time.
What
but
else
I
does
think
he
that
do? He does other things too on the side.
what does he do? He gets money for supporting certain issues, like according to the paper, tobacco companies are supporting research that he's taking advantage of.
And apparently, apparently
global warming.
He was paid to believe that secondhand smoke was not dangerous, and he was happy to take that money. And he is also apparently paid not to think that there is such a thing as climate change.
Are you saying secondhand smoke is dangerous? So what people do is they bottle their smoke and then they give it to other people who can't afford cigarettes? What is secondhand smoke?
Secondhand smoke is smoke that you're in proximity of to a person that's smoking.
And ironically, this past week, NMSU became an entirely smoke-free area.
Does that mean you can't smoke anywhere outdoors?
Apparently not there.
They're going to have to take away all those standing ashtrays they have around the
Outside my wife's office, I just noticed the two corners of the building, because everybody comes down from their offices,
Yes,
and they hang around and
all
they
the drug
smoke
addicts.
together, and they're just sitting there smoking and spending their day just having a good old time smoking. It said no smoking area right in that thing. So this girl comes walking in, and she's smoking a cigarette, and she stops at the no smoking area, and I think she thinks that meant you can't go past that area.
Yes.
This is a no smoking past area. So she
Right.
finished up her cigarette there. And there are still people hanging out at the no smoking area. I don't know if they were smoking or whatever. A
Well-
lot of smokers are going to the blue cigarettes.
Yes, that'll be better because you won't find cigarette butts littering the ground everywhere.
You just see people with their little plastic things.
Because
just-
most cigarette smokers are pretty slobbish about it.
well,
They don't care where their cigarette butts wind up, and that's
Cigarette
all I need
butts
to
are
know
pretty
about
disgusting.
cigarette addicts.
so what made me never smoke ever,
Yes,
my mother used to put her cigarette butts out in used grapefruits. That stuff, like the image of that just was too much for me, you know. And I said, "Well, that's disgusting." Anyway, so Gary Carruthers, he's the only one. The paper kind of after each person's individual interview, you never hear anything about him. But
he got
since-
the most press of all the
yeah,
candidates.
because
for some reason.
he was former governor. He is continuously
Dean of college.
the dean,
and he's from here.
Yeah, he's from here.
So
Are we gonna? You know, they're
People
supposed
that
to announce this on Monday. Who's going to become the
Oh.
president?
Well, people at the university are pretty confident that he's going to get it. It's a done deal, and they just had to call the others in to make it look good.
Odd thing to do, but I guess you get a free trip to lovely Las Cruces, New Mexico.
I guess so.
I've never been to New Mexico. I love Santa Fe. That's what people say, and they go, "Well, it's not Santa Fe."
Right. So
Yeah.
anyway, you know, this weekend there's a lot of pet-related items, activities going on.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you. Today, until 1 o'clock, downtown Main Street Farmers and Crafts Market, you can adopt a dog or a cat.
Farmers and crabs.
Crafts.
You can get crafts. Oh,
As you can every Saturday down there, you can
Oh.
adopt a dog or a cat. You can also do it until 3 o'clock today at Petco or at the Railroad Museum.
the Railroad Museum.
Yes,
Not only
down-
do we have a ring museum, but we have a railroad museum.
Yes.
Las Cruces has become the museum capital of southern New Mexico.
Also, Spring a Pet. That's an activity going on
Bring a pet.
through May 5th. You can get a dog for $25 or a cat for $25.
Really?
And it culminates May 5th, Cinco de Mayo,
I was wondering where we were.
from noon to 5 at Sam's Club.
Really? Sam's
Yes.
Club?
Yes.
Do you have to buy like a case of them? Because Sam's Club usually only sells quantity.
Yeah,
Like
don't
maybe
know.
a 6-pack of pets?
That might be, you have to buy a whole litter, maybe.
Maybe.
And although on Sunday, kittens, you can get kittens available and free chihuahuas. I think there's a glut of chihuahuas. They're just trying to get rid of them.
Well, they go down easily.
And they have to, and I think once you adopt it, it's been already spayed and neutered.
Spayed and neutered.
Yeah, so these animals wouldn't have to worry about taking the Plan B pill.
Plan B. Now you can get the Plan B pill if you're 15 years old and you don't need any parental approval. So, of course, they would have to card you when you're checking out to show that you're 15 years old. But other than that, you're good.
Do you think they would card?
I think they would. If you're a 12-year-old girl trying to get Plan B, there would be something a bit suspicious. In fact, if you're a 12-year-old girl, you certainly don't want to become pregnant.
Well, no.
Or even a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, right.
But we won't discuss that since we don't have that much time.
Also, this coming Wednesday, downtown
Yes.
at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Wednesday from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, they're having a big open house with refreshments and giveaways, and that's down at 211 North Water Street.
Fun place.
In the corner of Water Street and Las Cruces Avenue.
Spend many happy hours at
I'll probably
the
be down there.
CVB.
If you see me there, say hello.
We'll wave.
And also, we got some restaurant news here quickly. Of course,
IHOP.
the IHOP is opened. It's up and running. I haven't been there yet.
Double Eagle has
Double
a
Eagle.
new chef.
New chef.
Apparently a place called New York Pizza Slice is coming up into
Well, hopefully the
Royal
Double
Plaza.
Eagle, the new chef at the Double Eagle, will keep it from getting health code violations like the last chef
Well, it'd
was
be
not
good.
able to do.
Some new blood. Also, one thing else, because this is a little odd, the Dead Man's Cell Phone, which was a pretty good play at the Black Box, is having a matinee tomorrow, which is Sunday at 2:30.
That's the final show for that. Mm-hmm. And
It's a final word from us, I believe.
yeah, how about a slice of pizza?
I love New York pizza.
Do you?
Yes. So let's go out and get one. We'll be back next week with all the news that's worth putting words toward. We'll
And,
see you.
Join us right here at Double Talk, right here on Channel 98.